With some measure of pomp and grandeur, Urenma was ushered in to see Ansha. She could tell Ansha had worked out a scheme to win her to his side, and she was glad to let him try, knowing that won't budge her. She laughed them to scorn when the court of the elder gods welcomed her as a queen, and 100 servants bowed in honor to her. Natani, who was in the court, was shocked to behold that sort of uncouth attempt to win Urenma to their side. Urenma scoffed at them and dismissed their scheme instantly. For as long as she was concerned, she was no queen, and certainly not to Nsha, a god whose evil side she had come to see clearly. When Nsha came out to meet her, the court hailed him as a god king. Urenma was turned off and riled up at the sight of that. She thought that whatever had taken hold of Nsha meant business. To get his attention and that of those in the court, she destroyed the beauty of the court. But as quickly as she destroyed it, Nsha restored it. However, that worked to get Nsha to give her attention. Like a thunderbolt, Urenma's voice resonated. Nsha, you are no god king. The river world is for the 20 gods to rule and administer. The lands and people on earth were given to you as trust territories by the council of gods. You don't get to make decisions alone. Quit deceiving yourself and your followers. Urenma was brave and feared nothing. She stood her ground and dared whoever might challenge her in combat. Beside her, Ntani stood saying no word. Urenma was higher than her in rank, so she let her do the speaking, and more so, Ntani did not trust herself. She knew if she was to speak, she would immediately begin to fight because she had a fiery temper. Poised for battle, her eyes darted about the court for any movement against Urenma and herself. Nsha knew Urenma was in a fiery mood, so he allowed her to burn her anger with words. When she was done, Nsha stepped down from where he sat and shouted with great authority, "The river world, behold your queen. I give her back to you after she was taken from me and demoted to a princess of the gods. Many centuries have passed, but I have not forgotten. Urenma, I give you back the memories of your old life." Urenma shouted and fell to the ground. With their hearts in their mouths, all who were in the court waited for her to wake up. Urenma was a ruthless and fearsome god queen who ruled beside Nsha over 3,000 years earlier. To bring the memory of her old life back could have incalculable consequences on both the river world, the world of mortal, and the kingdoms in the sky. The Council of Gods had decided to take the memory of her old life to save her from the evil which sought to swallow her, and demoted her to a princess of the gods. Over many centuries, she proved to the gods that she had changed for good. However, the gods were not confident to give her back the memory of her old life. They all gathered to swear that her memory shall be kept away from her for all of eternity. But Nsha, who ruled with her as her husband, then had broken the oath of the gods, and he knew a war was coming, the sort of war even gods spoke of in hushed tones. Nsha was evil and ruled with an evil queen, Urenma. To end their wickedness, the Council of the Gods demoted them and stripped Nsha's position from him and took him to a lower world, where he served as a mere servant. But with time, he was restored to the position of an elder god. However, because the Council of Gods did not trust him, they put him in charge of the river world with other 19 gods. But somehow, Nsha subdued them all and made himself the head god. His intention was to return to his lost glory. Finally, Urenma stirred from the floor and stood to her feet. From the crown of her head to the soles to her feet, she was decked in pure gold. The rage in her eyes against Nsha had been replaced with tenderness. Gently, Nsha asked her, "My queen, do you remember?" With an alluring smile on her face, Urenma answered, "Yes, I do." The court went silent for few minutes and was only ruffled by Ntani's shrill voice. "If this be the reason you brought me here, to reveal Urenma's secret so that I will bend to your evil designs, then you are wrong. I swear by the true and honorable gods that if I get the chance to spill your blood on the battleground, I will not hesitate to do it." Turning to Urenma, she shook her violently and shouted in her face, "You are a good spirit, Urenma. You are the head of the princesses of the gods. Please don't let him use you for his evil schemes." Urenma simply looked past Ntani as though she was not there. Her eyes looked glassy as if they were set on events tucked away in generations past. Nsha moved swiftly and smacked Ntani on the face with the back of his hand and drew blood. The attack sent Ntani crashing to the floor. Nsha barked with suffocating pride. "Show some honor to the queen. Don't you ever handle her the way you just did. And mind you, she is no longer the princess of the gods, she is their queen. From the floor where she lay, Ntani stared at Nshar so hard as though her eyes could burn him to death, and barked back at him, "You are despicable and nothing close to a god. My name is Ntani, the raging spirit of battle. Mark my words, what you have done today will hunt you and destroy you. I know Urenma, she is a good spirit. She will break out of your spell and pour her wrath on you. Leave me to worry about that. Now that contemptible human husband of hers will sorely regret the day he laid his eyes on the beauty of Urenma and desired her. I will make him suffer 1,000 times and beg for his life." Standing to her feet, Ntani responded, "I have said it before. Of all the loathsome gods I have heard of and seen, you are the worst. So all you have done from the time Obins came to the river world and to this present have been out of jealousy. So to have her who once was your queen, you have done all this." "Yes, and I will do much more," Nshar gloated. Something interesting happened which Nshar did not pick up. When Ntani mentioned the name Obinzi, Urenma, who had been standing transfixed, gazing upon her past life, pecked her head up and darted her eyes about. Ntani saw her reaction and smiled to herself. Urenma could still be reached by the mere mention of Obinzi's name. Nshar had scooped burning coals to his bum. He just could not see it yet. Storming out of the court, Ntani tore apart the guards who stood by the door. Outside the court, she raised a cry and many gathered to her. In the open plains of the river world, the damned spirits and the armies of the river world took battle positions against the princesses of the gods who refused to submit to Nshar. Behind the princesses were Utebe and the Rouge spirits. Ntani led the gods and the Rouge spirits and appointed a leader over them. Her intention was to leave for Uke to offer a helping hand to Obinza. She knew it might be a while before Urenma would break free from the glamour of her past life as a queen. Back in the court, Nshar took Urenma's hand and led her to the high places of honor reserved for the 19 gods, which Nshar had commandeered as the new god king of the river world. Out in the open, as new rounds of battles intensified, the princesses of the gods persuaded Ntani to stay back and fight with them. Ntani gave in to their plea and stayed back. However, the battle was an effort in futility. Nshar wanted them busy with the battle while Uke burned. Already Uke was agog with festival and fanfare as humans waited for the greatest wrestling match in Igbo folklore. Behind the battle which raged in the river rolled, Nshar and the 19 gods made ready to leave for Uke, and Nshar was minded to leave with his newfound queen, Urenma. Though hours has passed since Urenma regained the knowledge of her past life, yet she gazed upon that past life intently. As she peered into her life as a powerful, ruthless queen, tears flowed from her eyes. Nshar, who sat by her, said reassuringly, "Cry not, my queen, in a matter of days we shall gain back all we lost, and not even the council of gods can stop us." Urenma said no word. When the 19 gods and a band of damned spirits were ready to move to Uka, Nshar mounted the high steps of the court to address them. "Make no mistakes, this battle we match to shall be unlike any in history. Will mortals stop us? No. But there are other gods and kingdoms which shall stand in our way. However, we must stand and fight till our desire we have achieved. My queen who was taken away from me is now back." At that, the damned spirits echoed insanely. Nshar continued, "She can single-handedly clear a field of fighting men and spirits with the wave of her hand." The insane shouting continued, "Uke is naked. Obins the pig who had my queen shall be used to wipe the ground by Ojadili, who as we speak is in Uke." Inshal gloated further with arrogance. "And above all, I have the 19 gods with me now. I say, let those who think they can stop us dare to try. For years I looked upon Uke with rage, and there I was stripped of my position by the gods, and my queen was reduced to a princess of the gods. For in the same land Uka, there is a man who dared the gods, brought fight to their world and took their princess to his land. He took not just a princess, but my former bride, a queen of the gods. Obins must die." The name Obinza rattled and jolted Urenma. She cried and crashed to the floor. Her cry hushed both Nshar and the damned spirits who were beside themselves with excitement. There was so much silence in the court that one would have heard a grain of sand drop to the ground. Nshar rushed to help his queen. Before he could reach her, Urenma sprang to her feet and shook herself, and all the gold decking on her fell off. Her eyes burned with rage. Insha could tell instantly that something was wrong. Urenma raised her voice and thundered, "I am Urenma, a queen amongst gods. Thanks for bringing back my memory. I am the death that will stop you and your cursed Ojadili. I want no part in your treachery against the council of God. Touch Obins and you die." Like lightning, she blew out of the court. Above the battleground, lightning flashed, and Urenma descended with a storm. All what the princesses, Ntani, Utibi, and the Rouge spirits saw were the bodies of damned spirits flying into the air in bits and pieces. The queen amongst gods had come to war. She had rediscovered herself. The sight of her in battle made Ntani and the princesses go bonkers. Even Utibi had to bow his knees before her, and along with him the Rouge spirits bowed. In centuries they had not bowed to anyone. Rising to their feet, Utibi and the Rouge spirits charged at the damned spirits. From his low-fee place, Insha watched in utter disbelief. Turning to the gods of the damned spirits, Nisha barked, "You told me that bringing her memories back would work in my favor. Now what is this?" "My lord, there is yet another way to make Urenma do your bidding," said Pu, lord of the damned spirits. "How do I know it will work when bringing her memory back failed?" "We are not called damned spirits for nothing. It will work, my lord, but I must warn you, it is extreme. We did not suggest it first because it is very evil." "I don't care how evil it is, just do it. Stop her." Pu and his men left hurriedly. On the battlefield, Ntani pulled Urenma aside and said, "My lord." She had not addressed her before as her lord. "You should not be here. The battle here is over. Go to Uka, Obinzi and the land need you more. When the battle begins, there summon us." Urenma did not respond. She just blew out of her sight with the flash of lightning. Ntani knew instantly that there was something different with the new Urenma. The new version was vicious and killed faster than anything she had known. Looking up at the lofty place of the gods, she jeered at Nisha and whispered to herself, "Nisha, you brought this on yourself." At the border between the river world and Uka, Urenma stood and tried to open a portal to cross over. Behind her, Pu and some damned spirits crouched with an abominable magic in their possession. Their intent was to use it on Urenma the moment she tried to cross over to Uka. As soon as the portal opened and she stepped in, Pu unleashed the evil power. It moved through the air and fastened itself on Urenma's back and began to take over her throats. In Nuangala River, into which she fell in Uka, she fought to shake off the magic until it fully consumed her mind. In utmost hatred for Obinza and her children, she headed home to attack them. Obinza was happy to see her coming home. Happily, they all rose to welcome her. But when she drew closer, her face was beastly and her eyes flared with hatred. Obinz saw it and tried to shield his children, but it was too late. With the swipe of her hand, Urenma tore Obinz open, plunging her hand into them. She pulled out the hair which she gave him, seized her 2 children and fled to Ala Upa. No mortal or spirit would dare follow her there. To Obinz, the worst had happened. His very much beloved attacked him, took her hair and left him at the mercy of Ojadili. As he writhed in pain on the ground, he prayed for death. He lay there helplessly until a hand touched him and said, "Someone heard your cry and sent me to help you." Obinza raised his head and saw Ijele, the guardian spirit of his ancestors. Ijele lifted him off the ground and carried him to his hut. "You can heal me, can't you, Ijele?" "I certainly can heal you, but that would be about the much I can do for you." "You lie. I know you can do more. That depends on what you ask of me." Happy to hear that he could be healed, he pressed Ijele. "Please get on with it. I want to go after my wife and children." "No, you can't do that. Even I, Ijele, would be mad to go after Urenma in a land such as Ala Upa, the land fountains with the worst form of evil known in creation, and is habitat for beings like the damned spirits. Besides, your wife is no longer the person who left you for the river world. A lot has happened to her since then." "What happened to Urenma? Tell me, Ijele." "Before she attacked me and left with Obiakor and Olachi, I saw evil in her face." "I have to heal you first." Ijele stepped outside to fetch some herbs. In about a minute's time he was back. After he had blended the herbs into a perfect mix of liquid, he helped Obinz to gulp it down, and then placed his hands on his chest and shut his eyes. In a flash, Obinz's open flesh closed up. Obinz hurried to get up but fell back to his mat. "Obinza, you have to rest. Urenma took much more than her hair from you. But you haven't told me what is wrong with Urenma." "Urenma has been given her memory back." "What memory, Ijele?" the memory of her ancient life as a ruthless, wicked queen amongst the gods. Urenma was a queen. Yes, she was, and a ruthless one at that. She was wife to Shah then, and the both of them committed so much evil that the Council of Gods sat and decided to strip them of their positions. Over time, Urenma changed for good and showed she had a pure heart. Shah was also thought to have changed, but with what he has done, he never really did. He gave Urenma her memory back in the hope that she would join him in his evil quest. For a moment it seemed like it worked, but the several mentioning of your name broke her free. My name broke her free. How? Obins, there is much to you than anyone knows, and the Council of Gods are counting on that in this time. So, if Urenma successfully resisted Shah's evil schemes, why then is she under an evil spell? She was on her way back to you when those abominations of the spirit world, the damned spirits, attacked her with one of their magical abominations, which took over her mind. Right now the magic controls her. It can be removed from her back, and I think that is the reason it drove to Ala Upa where no one follow her to. I fear the gods are concerned too that if the evil on her back decides to drive back to Uke to join the battle, there will be unimaginable horrors in this land. Urenma must not team up with Shah. Since she got her memory back, she has grown in power. It was for this reason that the gods took the memory of her old life away and swore an oath never to give it back to her. Shah has spoiled all that. He has destroyed the balance of the river world by unleashing the damned spirits. He caused the princesses of the gods to turn on their fellow spirits and brought Ojadili back from his time and generation. And the worst still, he made Atari, a spirit under the curse of the gods, to possess him. Ijele, my concern is Urenma. Why don't you let me try and help her if she has as much power as you have just mentioned? Wouldn't it be wise to have her fighting on our side? It would be good to have her on our side, but you can't go to Ala Upa. Ala Upa is not the river world. Even if you could go there, tell me who would let you in. Obinze felt frustrated by his being not able to rescue his wife and children. Ihele continued, You must focus on the task at hand. Tomorrow you will face Ojadili in a mortal combat, and you know what he is and who is in him. You must not die. You must hold him off until Obiakor, your son, and his sister find their way out of Ala Upa. So you know they will make it out of the evil land after all. We only hope that they will make it. It has been written long ago that he shall fight in this battle alongside his sister. We hope the prophecy shall come to pass. So how is Obiakor going to make it out of Ala Ufa? I don't have the answer now, Obinze. Like I said, you must focus on the task ahead, which is your fight with Ohadili. You must not let him kill you. You must stay alive. How am I meant to do that without Urenma's hair or any spiritual power backing me up? There is a way you can do that, a knowledge which you must have. And what knowledge is that? Obinze, you and Ohadili are half-brothers. Ihele paused. Obinze jumped to his feet. His eyes widened in shock and he thought perhaps he was in a dream. Ihele, how could I and Ohadili be half-brothers? He lived many generations before I was born. Look at me. Was I not born but yesterday? How can we be brothers? Was not Ojadili dead before even my great-great-great-father was born? Yes, you are right. But the woman who gave birth to him is also your mother. She comes into life at certain times in the past to give birth to men of importance chosen by the gods to achieve great feats. Ojadili was supposed to be her last born child.